Hello and welcome to the Star Citizen Esperia Prowler compiled questions and answers. This should be considered the second part of our Prowler Ship Buyer's Guide. Please check out the first part, which goes over the concept cell information and information about the ship in general. Check that out first if you haven't already. The Prowler originally went on concept sale between the 18th and 28th of November 2016 for $425. The loaner ship for that Prowler will be the Vanguard Hoplite, which is going to be coming out with 2.6. The Prowler is built for stealth deployment and emergency extraction, going in quiet or coming out loud. It's dedicated personnel carrier, an APC, and it does require troops to fill its belly to be effective. It can carry up to 14 crewmen that are dedicated for EVA and boarding, with another 2, which were 2 pilots basically, 1 co-pilot, 1 pilot. Each of those are separated, the 2 cockpits are separated cockpits from the main hull, which is good if your ship depressurizes. It's an agile ship, it's quick to land and position, as well as being able to leave quickly as well. It's able to get very close to objects and terrain and use them as cover. The Redeemer gunship and Vanguard Hoplite, which is more of a fighter, are geared more towards ship-to-ship combat as well, but obviously the Prowler does have some powerful weaponry in its arsenal, and it is all about how you use your ships, but the Prowler does focus mainly on stealth. The Prowler uses grav levs to aid its movement and maneuverability in space, atmosphere, and near ground. In regards to boarding and stealth, it's been suggested by Ben that it may be able to hover on the hull of a larger ship, but though they are still kind of fleshing out the process of boarding mechanics. But it's going to be a key boarding ship. It's going to basically be one of the most feared and powerful boarding ships in the game. The Prowler has low acceleration rates, but high max cap for SCM speeds. This is to aid its kind of stealth capabilities. It can use boost for large speed gains, though that's more if stealth is no longer needed or it's trying to get away from something. The ship is relatively short range for operations. It's meant to use other ships to help scan and identify targets, or go, I know where my target is. Though it can still use a jump drive and a quantum drive, it is designed as a short-range ship, and yeah, needs to be used with fleets and other ships really to make it super effective. The Prowler does not perform any form of ship-to-ship docking, though it can obviously land in large ships and on stations. In regards to EVA, they intend there to be no friction when EVAing in space. They are considering keeping your velocity as you leave the Prowler as well. That's a mechanic that is not yet finished, and they haven't fully decided it. The doors and sides of the Prowler can open, allowing Marines to fire out of the ship as well as EVA out. So you can have some relatively defendable positions inside that ship. You can have snipers or grenades throwing out or rocket launchers firing out the back with the added protection of the Prowler. The Prowler's phalanx shield is a point defense shield that provides a very strong but limited protective face. The phalanx shield was one of the reasons the Prowler became such a significant defense force when flown in a squad with shields deployed, and a wide variety of defensive countermeasures at the ready. So when it talks about defensive countermeasures, it's going to have chaff, flare, and decoys, which lots of other ships would not have as many as they would have, or the just range, effectively, of countermeasures that the Prowler has. They're still working on the shield management systems, though, so the Tavaran-style phalanx shield is intended to be on the high end of rewarding player skill in shield management. So it's a high-skilled ship. If you can manage your shield, your phalanx shield, which is obviously very, very powerful on single face, you're going to be a lot better with the Prowler than, say, you would if you were using just normal shields. It's a very high skill ship. Damage to the air shields while in space could cause a decompression event. The 2 cockpits, as I said earlier, are individually sealed from the rest of the ship, though. The Prowler will have some modularity, but is geared towards being an APC, an armoured personnel carrier, dropship, and kind of stealth boarding roles. There is plenty of room for equipment, weapons, armour, explosives, and that sort of stuff for the Marines to use on board, so they can have their gun racks there and all that sort of jazz. The Prowler has a full range of countermeasures, as I said earlier, including chaff, flare and decoys. There is no toilet or beds currently in the Prowler, though they are considering that there might be some form of modularity for that sort of stuff in the future as well. It's unlikely a Dragonfly would be able to be stored and deployed from a Prowler though, assuming that it can't, although that might change in the future. The Esperia Prowler is basically a remake or reproduction of the Prowler, but also has some improvements or changes that the current UEE and Earth's technology level allows. So they haven't completely determined whether or not there's going to be literally zero difference between the original Prowler and Esperia Prowler in performance due to the updates and adaptations. It's entirely possible that the present day equipment standards result in some very slight differences or deviations in signature, durability, or other factors, but they're working on them and they don't know yet, basically. The one-way transparent cockpit on the Prowler is currently exclusive to the Prowler, but this could change in the future. Other manufacturers might start using it. And that was basically it from the Prowler Q&A. And that was a mixture of the questions and answers part 1, part 2, and some of the stuff that Ben Lesnick shared on his Twitter. I will put all of the source materials down below. So with the concept page, with the QAs, with the Prowler sale page, the brochure, and all that sort of jazz there as well. But tell me what you think of the Prowler, guys. Are you really into this sort of boarding? Do you think this is a great boarding ship? Do you not like the idea of the Prowler? Was it super expensive? Are you going to get one in game? Do you not like the style of it? Please tell me what you think. Remember that commenting on any of my Star Citizen content every month gives you a chance to win a ship through November. That is an Avenger Titan. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, as it really does help me. And I will see you in the verse.